Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Hugo, and today we're going to talk about the 10 stocks that are going to pay you your monthly expenses. We're going to do the market analysis of the past week and also my portfolio performance. So stay around. Before we start the video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Only 3.9% of my viewers are subscribers, and I need your help to reach the 1,000 subscribers. So smash that button. Let's get back to the video. So to build this portfolio, I've chosen 10 stocks and ETFs where they pay monthly, and with a high dividend yield, more than 4% in some cases, and as REML, as you can see on the screen, it's around 11%. So let's go through all of them. I've chosen REML because it has a dividend yield of 11.57%, and they went quite low in the past week, so it's a nice option to choose as well. They are a REIT, and they are a 2 multiplier leverage, which in this case, when the stock goes up twice, but when it goes down twice as well. But that's why they have a high dividend yield of 11.57%, almost 12%. Of course, there was some adjustments in the past few weeks in some of the REITs and bonds that we have seen here, but this one wasn't affected, and all of them that I'm showing today are updated with the dividend yield updated. AMZA, it's a MLPS in the energy sector and infrastructure sector. So what the MLP stands for, it's a master limited partnership. It's a publicly traded taxed partnership. The benefit of the taxation, how it's being calculated, so that's why the taxation is much lower than any other, not for you, because when you're going to buy or when you're going to receive the dividends, you're going to pay 30% because this is a US stock. But within the dividends that they hold from other companies, the taxation is shared, and that's why it's a partnership which has a high dividend yield of 11.62%. PSEC, this is a stock, it's a Prospect Capital Corporation. This is in the finance sector, and they have a dividend yield of 7.83%, and it's one of the few stocks that they pay monthly, as well with the main capital as well, which they pay monthly. This is almost similar with the main Capital Street, but it's different corporation where they invest in 2 different sectors, and the dividends is much higher than main. All the stocks that I'm talking about today are on my portfolio except this one, because of the overvalued, which is quite overvalued. It's around 100% almost overvalued, so that's why I don't have on my portfolio. AGNC, which has a dividend yield of 7.72%. So this is a stock as well in the REIT sector. Is one of my favorites REITs and stocks that I have on my portfolio, and they also pay monthly. I have acquired this not long ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and which is SDIV, which has a higher dividend yield than DIV, but they have in different sector than the DIV. They have different companies than DIV, but they have a dividend yield of 6.63%, which is much higher than the next 5 are DIV with a dividend yield of 6.09%. In terms of the portfolio of this ETF, they are diverse. So in case of a crash or something, we have a diverse ETF, which that's why I wanted to put it on our portfolio, and I'm going to show this in the spreadsheet that's in a few moments. We also have Main with a 5.96%, Main Street Capital, which I already spoke about in this channel a lot. So all the stocks actually I've already spoke about. JNQ, which has a high dividend yield bonds with a 4.90%. PFF with a high dividend yield of 4.66%. And with income security, so it's also a diverse companies that we have on this ETF, and also HIG with a high dividend yield bond as well, with diverse companies inside of this ETF with 4.64%. So this is what's going to combine the 10 stocks that's going to help you pay your monthly expenses. So now let's look this into the spreadsheet to have a better look of what we can get from the stocks and how much we need to invest to pay our expenses. I've put here in the spreadsheet an example where we have all the stocks over here. This is a similar spreadsheet that I use on my weekly investments. The only stock that I don't have on my portfolio is the PSEC. All the others I have on my portfolio, where you can check. The link is on the description as well. So here we have mentioned here what is a stock, what is a ETF, what are the sectors. So here you can see that 50% of our portfolio is exposed to diversity, where only 20% is REITs, 10% energy, and 20% finance. So it's a quite balanced portfolio per se. And in terms of stocks, we have 30% of stocks and 70% of ETFs. So that the total investment that I've put it here was 63,000, because of one simple reason, because in terms of Ireland and UK, we need to pay capital gains, but we have some capital gains tax exceptions. In terms of US, we don't have. We need to pay that depends on the state that you live in. In France, Italy, Germany, Portugal, it's quite similar, and Spain, it's quite similar. In Europe, it's quite similar, except Ireland and UK, which has some exceptions there. In the case of Ireland, if you are single, you can have exception of 1,270 euros per year, and in UK it's 12,300 pounds, which you have exception, so you won't pay until you reach that value. As soon as you reach that value, you'll pay. In Ireland, if you are a couple, you can reach until the 2,540 euros. That's why I've put it here, the 2,540 euros. So if you have an investment of 63,000, you, in terms of dollars, will be $3,000. This is in dollars. And here, which will be 2,500 euros, and you'll pay any tax over this value. So that's why I've put it this. In terms of Portugal, actually, there's an exception, but not for ETFs or stocks. It's only in terms of crypto. Any capital gains in terms of crypto, you won't pay any tax. And in any other country, you'll pay tax on crypto, on capital gains on crypto. So this is the only differences. I didn't saw every single country because there are a bunch of them. I don't know about China. China, I think you pay as well around 25%. Although the average in Europe, it's around 25 to 30%. In Ireland, depends on how much it's your wage. If you reach a certain value, you will need to pay between 25 to 50% of tax over the capital gains. So this is something that depends on how much you win and how much your country will charge for the value that you're going to receive in capital gain. So as you can see here, I've put it 63,000, and now I put 10% on each, but I can change this. For example, if I want to have more risk, I need to remove this from here and put here 5%. For example, I want to have 15% on the highest dividend yield, another 15%. Let's reduce this to 5. So this, of course, will change completely how much I'm going to receive, and per month. Here is the values per month, so $270 or 228 euros, and of course this is going to change depending on the percentage that I'm going to put here, or the number of shares that I have on my portfolio. I did put here the percentage because it's the same spreadsheet. I'm using exactly the same spreadsheet that you can use to copy all my trades, where we're going to see exactly the same thing, where you're going to put the percentage that you have on your portfolio, and you can see how much you can win per month. You can see exactly the similar spreadsheets on my copy trades. You have the link on the description where you can do exactly the same simulation that I'm doing here. Probably if you want to pay your rent, $270 won't be enough, so probably going to need around $250,000, which will be around $1,000 per month. So on this $13,000, you need to pay taxes around 25% or 30%. In Ireland is exactly the same thing, but in the exception of UK, you won't pay because it doesn't reach the 12,000 pounds, which is with the exception. So one thing that I'm taking in consideration, these values are all after tax, because here I'm calculating here the tax of 30% because it's a US stock and ETF. So you pay 30% of tax, which is automatically deducted on the source. So if we have a dividend yield, average dividend yield of 7%, This means that we're going to receive around 5.17% of dividend yield. Of course, more I invest here, if I put here 100%, my risk will be much higher, and the crash of REML, for example, will be much higher, but I'll increase my dividend yield for 7.9% based on the amount of value that I'm investing and in terms of percentage. So in this case, I'll be receiving almost 20 grand per year in US dollars, which is quite good. But if I have my portfolio exposed only to one ETF or one stock, the risk is quite high, and if this stock goes down around 5%, so I'll see a reduction on my dividends on the next month. I won't receive 1,700 per month. I'll be receiving much less for that specific month. So that's why it's important to have a balanced portfolio where I can mitigate those market corrections with a more diverse portfolio. So now let's look into the market from past week, where the market went down around 1.5%. Dow Jones with a market record drop with around 1.57%, since January was the highest drop since ever, with the SP500 and the Nasdaq around 1.5% each. So now let's look into some graphs. So as I mentioned before, we had a market corrections weekly which declined around since January, with the most drop with around 532 points, almost 1.6%, after the Fed projections spoken to the market. So that's why we can see here this decline over here, and the MACD is still dropping. I'm thinking this Monday we'll have a bull market and we'll stop the bearish market over here. We have a lot of stocks going down in the energy sector. XLE was one of the ETFs that were affected. We had a shift from some hardware companies like semiconductors, etc., to the software like Palantirs and other companies that had increased around 1 and 2%. So we see here a shift. The REITs were affected as well, which usually with inflation they went up. So this, I think it's just a market correction with a big market correction, but I think we are in a good position to come back for the normal values that we had in the past, around the 4,250. This is just a drop in the beginning of the quarter, so we're going to see another new earnings coming up, and they are starting to build. So I'm assuming this is going up on the next upcoming weeks or month. So I don't see this too much of a bigger concern. It's a market correction. We had around 1.7%, which is a lot. But although this is something that we need to have, that's why I had some money in balance, just to make sure nothing goes down so suddenly. I had the chance to sell Walgreens, which was a big luck, because Walgreens just went down around 2 points percentual, and I'm hoping that the next upcoming I'll sell something else just to get some money in balance. So at the moment I do intend to invest on those that were more affected, like Intel, Disney were affected, some ETFs, REML, AGNC were also affected, with around a drop with around 5% each. Actually, I put at the post on eToro about that. And when you have a sideways move on the market, this can always go up or down. In this case, went down, but I'm quite positive for the next upcoming weeks. Let's see. Let's have some attention. I think we had a big drop for this to continue going down again. I'm thinking we're going to have a positive Monday. So let's see. In terms of BTC, it's exactly the same thing. We had a big drop. We thought that we was going to reach 40,000, but we're still here on the around the support with 35,000. I think we are consolidating here the 35,000 for sure, and probably as soon as the market goes up, I think the BTC will go up as well. We have a positive trend here, a bull market around here. Probably we're going to see some drops on the next weeks or so. But as soon as the market goes up, I think this continue the trend of the market. I think we did reach the bottom So we have going to have some fluctuation here, but on the bullish trend. So if you want to copy all my trades, don't forget to go to eToro and search for my nickname Knights, and you can copy all the open trades which I recommend. This month is not the positive month. Actually, it's the good time to copy because we're seeing the market on the top lows, and we can get some really cheap stocks by copying me, where we can see some growth on the next upcoming weeks or month. So in terms of portfolio performance, this wasn't the best week. We had the US market with around minus 1.5%. My portfolio went down around 1.94%. Actually, I think it's reached almost 2% because of two factors. The crypto went down, the other went down around almost 6%. We have the energy sector, which my portfolio is exposed to. 15% of my portfolio is exposed to energy sector. So, and the energy sector went down around 2 points. So that's why we have worse performance than actually the US market because of those two factors. Since inception, my portfolio went down from 18% from last week to 15% this week. But I think we can reach quite easily the 18% in a couple of weeks or so. We had around almost 30% in the middle of this week, but on Friday everything went down on almost 2 points, and that's why we had a growth of only 15% now. The top dividend stocks were Apple with a 4.5% increase, Amazon with a 4.17%, GlaxoSmithKline with a 2.78%, ARK Invest with 2.05%, and Unilever with 1.67%. So in this top 5 stocks, we didn't see too much of increase, around 4% in some of them, and 1% in most of them. It's around 1%, but the majority, I think, of my portfolio went down around -1 or -2, and especially the energy sector went down quite a lot, like Chevron, BP, and the ETF XLE, which went down quite a lot, and that's why the portfolio was affected as well. In terms of actions, last week we had the payments of main capital, we had no acquisitions, and we had open orders, and I still have open orders for the PFG, Intel, Disney, Berkshire Hathaway, and also AGNC, which all in combined they went down around 5% last week, and that's why I want to do some average on those stocks. In terms of close orders, I didn't close any order. I've done an average on the REML, Disney, and AGNC. The top players is still AMZA, and the top dividend yield it's REML with 11.57%. My portfolio is still undervalued in 41.6%, and the portfolio growth we had a reduction here from last week from 6% to 5.8%. And the stock with the more volatility is still main capital, and the lowest volatility it's Unilever. So now let's look this into the spreadsheet, which I update every single week after the market close. Okay, if you are seeing this spreadsheet for the first time, the link is on the description, and this is how you can simulate all the copies that I have. You can put here 1,000 investment, which is the minimum that I recommend, and you can see how much you're going to gain per month and per year as well here. And this is where you can see the annual dividend yields, which I update every single week, and the values as well, where you can see here what was going to be the actions. So here this week we had REML, SDIV. We've done some average, and we did receive the payments from main capital for this week. So in here we have all these payments that we received so far. Of course, there's ones a few missing for this month, but usually you receive on the next month. In terms of the portfolio exposure, you can see on this graph what is the exposure in terms of how much we have in balance, how much we have as ETFs, how much we have as UK stocks, US stocks, and crypto. So crypto, it's around 4.9% only in the total value. Here you can see all the stocks, all the growth stocks that I have it on my portfolio, and all the most highest dividend stocks that I have here, where they pay, which you can simulate how much you can receive. Of course, you can put $500, but this is not going to be enough for some copies and for some trades that I have open to maximize your profits and as well your dividends. More you invest, of course, the more you're going to gain monthly, and that's why I always advise you to invest at least $1,000. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like. If you don't know, there's a lot of investigation here involved, which takes me a lot of time, so please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That will help me a lot, and we'll continue doing this for this channel. Once again, thank you, cheers, and see you next week.